Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, for nerds, by nerds, hang out with these nerds.
Ted.
Nate.
And today we're going to talk about the 3 most infuriating types of Dungeons & Dragons spells.
If you want to jump down the description below, you can sign up for Nerdarchy the News Letter. It's a great way to get weekly gaming tips, as well as learn how to game with Nerdarchy.
We're discussing
5th edition D&D spells?
Yes.
Now, there's a handful of them that can really be irritating from different perspectives. As a DM, for me, I've found that any of the spells that kind of make their own little pocket dimension, be it Rope Trick or Liamon's Tiny Hut, they can really alter the state and the standard flow of a D&D game.
Is a short rest 1 hour or 2? Can you do it in an hour?
Yeah.
So you could literally, in the middle of combat, rope trick and take a short rest.
Yep.
Be like, guys, I'll be right back. Now, as a DM, you could also have an army camped out when that spell ends, but...
Right, but if you're not, like, if the encounter is such in a way that there really is no
What
place,
happens if you rope trick inside of a rope trick?
I don't think space works.
You could be in a rope trick and maybe casts. Maybe you'd have to have 2 casters, right? Because the other one casts the rope trick, and then you climb up to that one, and then the other one can cast the rope trick and you climb up to that one. I see the problem being that it says it lasts an hour, right? And a short rest is an hour. Clock's ticking. I think they drop out while they're like finally getting, I'm putting my boot on. Well, I got my right boot on. Put my left boot on. Bam, falling.
Everybody, this is when it comes into play. If technically everybody holds their initiative, like I'm waiting for this guy to do this. As soon as he casts a spell, everybody.
So Nate, are you saying they're 6 seconds short?
Yes.
Well,
and if they're not 6 seconds short, they're gonna be 6 seconds short for getting back down the rope before it ends.
I just want to say, while it's highly amusing, there is no fucking way that is not a real melee combat, or melee if you prefer, going to happen at your table. Not in the game, at your table, when you tell your players, no, you didn't get a short rest.
I'm sorry.
6 seconds short.
I'm sorry, how long is an hour? Oh, 60 minutes?
Well, that was 59 minutes.
Yes.
And 54 seconds.
Yes, which is 1 round short.
So
I mean,
it's an hour. It's an hour,
face it.
so it's not 10 minutes. Or like they didn't say like, well, let's give them 45 minutes to hang out. They made it an hour so that you had enough time to be away.
I would argue that
tend your wounds.
I would argue that like it takes a round to hit the ground. So technically, you're still in the short rest before you hit.
Oh yeah, I'd give them that if they're
because I'm sure falling would be kind of relaxing.
If they're willing to
it's
take
the landing that sucks.
If they're willing to take the damage, I'm willing to give them the short rest.
I think a lot of DMs are going to lose the argument about it lasting an hour and short rest is an hour, so boom, you got it.
I don't know about losing the argument. I don't think it's worth the argument.
I gotta, but I'm going to make a note for my social contract as the DM.
So legitimately, if your wizard is a high enough level, they could scurry up the rope, and he would even be able to get the spell slot back that he used for rope trick.
Yes.
If he's a high enough level. So it's like, they're gonna be able to spend the hit dice, they're gonna be able to get spells back. They're gonna be in a significantly better position to handle the rest of the fight. And it's like that alters the flow of many different things. And then you've got the superior version of rope trick, and that's Liamon's Tiny Hut.
Yes.
And since it's a ritual spell, you legitimately, as soon as your players get access to this, I don't see why you would ever not, have that spell slot saved or, that spell ritualized so that you never.
The only thing I can think of
is
is Liamond is very intelligent. He's very smart. He's very crafty. He's copyrighted and trademarked this, and it's very hard to obtain this spell. A license for it costs a tremendous amount of gold pieces because everybody would want it. So clearly, he's made it very difficult to get.
Well, yeah, if you make a little different finger wiggle at the end and be like, "This is my now copyrighted spell."
Yeah.
So those are the ones that they alter the flow of a typical D&D.
So Mordecai Mansion's another one that would fall into that category. I don't know if that's a ritual spell or not, or
I have not had to deal with that one. I believe that's a much.
It's a higher level spell, but yeah, it's the same thing. It creates this safe place within the game for the players to always just be able to step out.
Really sweet pad of a safe space.
But talking about the extra dimensional spells brings me to my kind of pet peeve. I actually thought it was a typo in the game, and that's when one of our players got high enough to start casting Conjure Elemental, and the casting time is like a minute or 10 minutes, and the spell only lasts an hour. Now, traditionally, I felt like this is a spell that's been cast in combat. Now, guys, I didn't go back and look at 3rd edition and 2nd edition to read this spell. But the point is, like, obviously, any casting time beyond a round is useless in combat. Yeah, and which brings us back to unless you rope trick, yeah. You know, like,
combo.
wait, guys, I'm gonna really kick your ass in a minute, literally.
So Mordecai's Magnificent Mansion and Private Sanctum are not ritual spells.
Okay.
So they're the high level. Boom! One action.
Mordecai's casting time is a minute for the mansion and 10 minutes for the private sanctum.
Yeah, but the mansion,
so a ritual without being a ritual.
The mansion, you're also getting access to Hero's Feast or whatever that spell is.
Right. Oh, it's
as
fantastic,
well.
Yeah.
So it's a twofer.
Yeah,
it's a good one. So so those are the spells that kind of pet peeve DMs because it kind of gives them like the safe space and takes away. But like I was saying, the conjuration spells are cast with a duration or casting time of a minute. And only a duration of an hour. Like at least if it was like concentration 8 hours, I would feel a little bit better. Yeah. Because you could have it follow you around through the dungeon or on your trek, or you could send it off to do a task for you. But let's face it, you conjure an earth elemental or an elemental for an hour. That's not even enough time to send it out for lunch. Let alone have it do something useful.
I wonder how many times in the almost 3 years that 5th edition has been around that someone's said, okay, we're out, whether they're walking in the wilderness or out exploring a dungeon, and they cast the spell, and the DM goes, okay, an hour goes by, your spell's over, now what are you guys doing?
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm sure that comes up, or it's like, hey, we need to get this door. We need to open this door. Well, I'm not going first. You go first. I'm not going first. Well, let's summon Mikey the Earth Elemental. He'll go first.
Hey, you're buying peace of mind with that spell in a minute.
So
you don't have to take the dart to the head that kills you.
Well, and so it really says something about you and how you feel about elementals, though.
They are my playthings.
They're already mad that you brought them here.
So why not?
They're like a wild dog on a leash. So you might as well get. They're gonna. How much more worse could it get? They're just gonna get as mad as they get.
Oh, that's the other thing too with the elemental spells. When your concentration goes, they don't.
Yeah.
They just then act normally, and it is like. I think Ted was a bit of a pussy in our one game session when Scott Garrity lost control of his elemental and it didn't attack
and
the
it just
party.
didn't Frankenstein everything.
I think it totally should have been attacking everything near it. And
I didn't think he lost concentration.
You can't.
Oh no, he lost concentration.
You don't get concentration back either. It's not like you can just reconcentrate on it. It's wild and loose.
Yes.
It's free. It's free. So if you would have just got it hit in the head with a dart, it probably would not be happy with you.
That's true.
Here,
I wonder how long the element.
I summoned you merely to open this door for me. What?
Yeah, and go make me coffee.
Find me some truffles. You know where those are.
I am a fire elemental. What do I know about truffles?
No, you got to do the earth elemental to find it. Just like if you wanted to find diamonds in lava, you got to go get the fire elemental. Go get them.
Gotcha. I didn't know diamonds were in lava, but
I don't know. I'm just thinking of uses for why you would wait a minute to cast a spell that you would probably. Oh, this is awesome, guy. It's like a giant cannon of attack power, and it takes a minute. So I don't know. I like the idea of casting it and then being able to like go through a section of a dungeon or go through a house. They'll probably crush everything in the path. I mean, you can't summon a fire elemental and be like, we're going to explore this and investigate this house. It burns down.
Yeah. Well, you could.
Like, air elemental, help me find something in this library. Disaster.
Yeah. Paper cuts for everyone. Yeah, so they kind of get my goat a little bit of a pet peeve there. Those spells, it's like, I want to know what you guys are using those spells for, because to me, like, they scream combat.
The minute casting time just doesn't
Screams
fit.
not combat.
Right.
Screams like, I'm going to use this in a like battle royale, like
I'm
army versus army or something.
Yeah, or go find me a jelly donut. But no, you can't, because it's only an hour.
And it's concentration as well. So every other concentration spell you would have cast.
Nope.
And if you cast them, you got to go, all right, I'll just let that spell go away and keep my earth elemental from killing me.
Yeah. So, there's a whole lot of nope there.
Yeah.
Well, What's your pet peeve?
I'm big into spellcasting. I've been since 2nd edition. It's kind of like what got me the most excited.
Not
about
D&D, just spellcasting. He's got sitting home with his witch's book and cauldron.
I would say I like psionics too, but we're not talking about psionics.
I don't have.
We all know
psionics.
Yeah, I know. So I would say charm spells for this edition. I've never played the enchanter that takes over entire towns, but I had a dream. And now it's
Sadly,
gone.
not anymore.
And now it's gone. Unless I want to work until 14th level, which I haven't seen yet in a character, unless it's Scott's game. And we start almost at 14th level. So,
We're getting close.
Because 14th is when you get to get rid of the crummy point about charm spells in which you cannot do it and have them.
Did we even mention what your
pet?
pet peeve is yet? Like we were talking, but I don't know.
I'm sorry, I'm ranting about. I'm so about it. So in this edition, charm spells, they know when you've charmed them, which is the exact. I mean, it makes it useless unless you want to get punched later.
So it's essentially
guy.
No, I cast charm person. All right. Well, they failed their saving throw.
So they're charmed.
So they're charmed, and yay! After the spell's over, they know absolutely. No, there's no chance. There's no die roll to see whether it happens or not. They automatically know that you did something.
It should be called summon pitchforks and torches. Is what the spell should be called.
or call it the long list of towns I can no longer visit.
Or you're that evil sorceress that traps people's minds and beguiles them.
So, like, legitimately, there's a whole slew of spells that fall into this, and every single one of them says.
And you know what's worse? What makes it worse is you've really relegated these spells to now combat spells.
Yeah.
Like you actually just said you're not going to ever do anything interesting, fun, or creative with these spells, and screw role playing. And these spells have one purpose and only.
In the early days of D&D, I think it was it still 2nd edition?
Probably.
We were together at my family's house, and we had an impromptu game that just came up, and Dave decided he wanted to play an enchanter.
Eldarius.
And it didn't matter what I had lined up. Dave was just like, nope, I'm just charming this person. And he created his own establishment with all his own people. And like the setup was that, okay, well, if after 30 days the spell was over, he would have them report to him on the 29th day, and he'd recast the spell, and they'd have to let it work.
I'd like your monthly report, please, a little early every month.
Yeah. I need your 27-day report.
Yeah.
So
now, I would say you just gave the perfect example of why it is not like that in 5th edition.
Yeah.
But despite that happening, now as a DM, I know, well, how would I deal with something like that? What kind of things would wind up happening? And we are talking about years and years worth of experience to come to that, but I know what I would do. I know how I would handle it. So I still...
It would have been a way more fun campaign from that point on. There would have been crime wars and...
Crime wars and what?
No, there would have been crime wars.
Oh, crime wars are enough.
The Thieves Guild would have got involved.
It
would have been fun.
My point with this is... with the charm spells, yes, I don't like how they are now, but I understand why they're there like that. I guess is what I should say about.
Okay, I do.
I don't like it, but at the same time, as a DM, I probably like it a lot.
I understand why they made that decision. I just feel that should be a DM's choice, and for us, it absolutely has. We just say no. We're nixing.
We're just not going to do that. We've got to vote. And here's the thing too. Like 5th edition, they put so much on the DM and so much DM fiat, and so in this area, they take like this really.
They take that control away.
I think by excluding it, it requires DM choice to make it happen rather than arguing with the players about how charm doesn't work that way in this game.
Yeah, but you have to make a house rule for it, and if you're a new DM, you're not even probably thinking like that. You're just going to read the rules.
Well, then it's some enchanter doesn't take over your game basically. So I mean that's beneficial.
You've made the whole enchanter thing useless.
Yeah. Well, 14th level is kind of rough to get to that point where you can start having towns that you're king in.
For a series of spells that specifically, are based on their wording to say this is only going to be a combat spell as opposed to allowing the life and breath to say, well, how many different ways can I use this? I think it alters things, and
not in a good way.
From my perspective, I want to see how can I take things in here and take them out of combat. What can I use to further role playing? Because while yes, it is a game, role playing comes first. And that's what I look at.
And with Dave's character, I would say role-playing for his character was paramount, and he was doing what he wanted to do, but it was kind of like a cheat around interaction with people because you just cast a spell and you're in, like Flynn, basically.
In that edition...
So that's not really... He's role-playing his character, but that's not... You're not extending role-playing for the group by being like, oh, a person that we need to talk to comes in? I do this. We're done.
Well,
encounter over.
There were still saving throws, and he convinced the rest of the party to get on board with what he's talking about.
There was only 2 of us playing, so.
Oh well, that in a campaign like that, if you have buy-in from the other person playing, then it can be a really really fun game.
So like that kind of thing, it was definitely interesting, and yeah, I was inexperienced enough of a DM that I didn't know what to do, and I really don't recall much about what happened for that play session, but. What happened, the circumstances leading that game, I still recall them. I still
right. And that being said, that same scenario done now would be completely different, and it would be a lot more interesting, and I think it would have been a lot more fun for everybody as well.
I think so.
With that, guys, let us know what Dungeons and Dragons spells really get your go? Which ones annoy you? Which ones have you house ruled and changed? We have a place for that. Put in the comments below. While you're at it, like, share, and subscribe.
You can check out articles over at nerdarchy.com.
And while there, head over to the store and get some sweet swag.
So until next time,
stay nerdy.
Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy. For nerds, by nerds, hang out with these nerds.
Ted.
Nate.
And today we're going to talk about the 3 most infuriating types of Dungeons and Dragons spells.
If you want to jump down the description below, you can sign up for Nerdarchy the News Letter. It's a great way to get weekly gaming tips, as well as learn how to game with Nerdarchy.
We're discussing
5th edition D&D spells?
Yes.
Now, there's a handful of them that can really be irritating from different perspectives. As a DM, for me, I've found...
Sure.
I'm sorry, how long is an hour? Oh, 60 minutes?
Well, that was 59 minutes.
Yes.
And 54 seconds.
Yes, which is 1 round short.
So,
I mean,
it's an hour. It's an hour, so it's not 10 minutes. Or like they didn't say like, well, let's give them 45 minutes to hang out. They made it an hour so that you had enough time to be away.
I would argue that
tend your wounds.
I would argue that like it takes a round to hit the ground, so technically you're still in the short rest before you hit.
Oh yeah,
I'm waiting for this guy to do this. As soon as he casts a spell, everybody.
So Nate, are you saying they're 6 seconds short?
Yes.
Well,
and if they're not 6 seconds short, they're gonna be 6 seconds short for getting back down the rope before it ends.
I just want to say, while it's highly amusing, there is no fucking way that is not a real melee combat, or melee if you prefer, going to happen at your table. Not in the game, at your table, when you tell your players, no, you didn't get a short rest.
I'm sorry.
That any of the spells that kind of make their own little pocket dimension, be it Rope Trick or Liamon's Tiny Hut, they can really alter the state and the standard flow of a D&D game.
Is a short rest 1 hour or 2? Can you do it in an hour?
Yeah.
So you could literally, in the middle of combat, Rope Trick and take a short rest.
Yep.
Be like, guys, I'll be right back. Now, as a DM, you could also have an army camped out when that spell ends, but...
Right, but if you're not, if the encounter is such in a way that there really is no
What happens if you Rope Trick inside of a Rope Trick?
I don't think space works.
You could be in a Rope Trick and maybe casts. Maybe you'd have to have 2 casters, right? Because the other one casts the Rope Trick, and then you climb up to that one, and then the other one can cast the Rope Trick, and you climb up to that one. I see the problem being that it says it lasts an hour, right? And a short rest is an hour. Clock's ticking. I think they drop out while they're like finally getting. I'm putting my boot on.
Well,
I got my right boot on. Put my left boot on. Bam, falling.
Everybody, this is when it comes into play. If technically everybody holds their initiative